So I am going to get started. Little intro first from my side. So welcome to today's IAPC&M CPD Building Masterclass. My name is Julie Kennedy, indeed from sunny today, Brittany in France, where I am on holiday. So big welcome today to Master Mentor Andy Nisevic. I hope I am not saying that terribly. You can correct me. IAPC&M accredited master coach and workplace performance specialist who, after 23 years in the RAF as leader of teams of all sizes, put all his experience and training together to create the Infinite Leader Development Program, which he uses to help managers become great leaders. Now, I always ask for one interesting fact just to spice it up. And you had me quite intrigued, Andy, by saying he believes that leadership training on its own is a waste of time. So I'm quite intrigued to understand more about that. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get into the topic. The call today will be a maximum of 1 hour. So that includes 15 minutes Q&A. And Andy, if I understood well, we can, either keep them till the end, maybe put them in the comments or raise your hand. And Andy, if it's not interrupting too much with his flow, we'll take it or not. The session is indeed recorded, so please mute yourself, but keep your video on. And unless, Andy, you prefer that we have a little bit more interaction, I will leave that up to you. So connect your business to your heart is the wonderful topic of this masterclass. I really like that. So I hope you have your CPD pad and pen ready. You should be used to this by now because we need to take those notes so we take action on what we learn here today. Over to you, Andy.
Thank you ever so much, Julie. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I can see there's some people in the waiting room as well. So look forward to welcoming you all into the room. I'm really grateful for you giving up your time to come and listen to me jabber on. As Julie said, I am a former RAF, 23 years for my sins. And yeah, right from entry level up to flight sergeant was my substantive rank. I was offered promotion to warrant officer, but decided that I wanted to be a civilian after that amount of time. The last role that I had in the Air Force was teaching their leadership and management courses. And this is where I really discovered that interesting fact that Julie mentioned, that leadership training on its own is a complete waste of time. Because admittedly, in my biased opinion, the leadership training that we provide in the RAF is second to none. It's world-class material delivered in a world-class manner by world-class facilitators. So if leadership training on its own was worthwhile, then it stands to reason that every leader we ever trained would be a fantastic leader. Unfortunately, that's not the truth. And I myself went through 3 separate leadership courses. I was qualified up to CMI and ILM level 6. And there are parts of my leadership journey, I was a terrible leader. That's an unfortunate truth that I had to come to realise. However, it's also the truth that at exactly the same time that I was a terrible leader, I was also a fantastic leader. Because here's the truth about leadership, is that when we lead just based on our own preferences, our own style, that is fantastic for the people who are inspired by the same manner, by that manner. However, if we're unable to adapt ourselves to what our team members need and the individual characters, the individual personalities and what they need, then we're just going to leave those people behind. And that's something that, unfortunately, I never learned through traditional leadership training, because when it's training on its own, it's very general. And human beings, as I'm in a room full of coaches, you all know human beings can't be pigeonholed. We all have our own individual ways of being motivated, of communicating, of the best ways to hold ourselves to account and to be held to account. So I learned that leadership training, when it's not supported by ongoing mentoring, ongoing coaching, actually becomes a waste of time. But I'm not here to talk about leadership. I'm here to talk about connecting your heart to your business. So I see we've got 5 people online, including Julie. Raise your hand for me, please, if you run your own business or coaching practice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cynthia, you're welcome if able to put your video on, please. Otherwise I can't see any interactions. But I'm going to make an assumption that as you're on this masterclass, you probably do as well. Now, so the vast majority of us have our own practice. Raise your hand again, please, if you found periods of running your own business, running your own practice, challenging. Thank you, Cynthia, for replying in the chat. And again, that's 100% response. So there's all these alarming statistics out there, isn't there? That I think the last measure was 80% of small businesses fail within the first year or the first 2 years. I can't remember exactly what the stats are. And one of those reasons is because life as an entrepreneur isn't as easy as some people on social media make it look, is it? It's challenging. We go into business because we have a passion, a love, a skill, something that we can offer the world of true value. However, certainly in the early days when we're small and we have to do everything, we spend about 95% of our time doing things that we've got no experience in, no skill, no training, and probably no love for. And I'm talking about marketing, selling, networking, all that sort of thing. All of those things are individual skills in ourselves that maybe we don't have that experience in. And we do 95% of all of that work to give us that 5% of time doing the thing that we love doing. So when the chips are down, when life is going against us and we're going through that time, and May was the most recent time that I had this, by the way, I came that close to just giving up and going and get a job. The reason that I didn't, you won't see it on the screen, but it kind of behind my computer on my wall up there, I've got my vision poster. And it was my vision for my business and the impact that I want to have on the world that gave me, and I get goosebumps every time that I look at it. And it's what gave me that, sod it, I'm going to keep plugging away. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to do the work. That was in May. 2 months later, I've had my first 5-figure month in a year. And it was that vision, the vision that means something to me, that connects to me emotionally, the impacts that I want to have on the world. It was that really gave me that energy to go. And I don't know if you just saw, I got quite emotional talking about that. I don't know if that came through the sound, but that's what you want your vision to have, is that emotional connection, so that when the chips are down, you will find a way. So I'm going to take you through some guidelines today in order to help you create a vision that is going to have that same emotional connection to you, emotional connection to your clients, so that when your clients are speaking to 2, 3, 4 different coaches who offer the same sort of service, they can look at you and they look at your company vision and say, that's who I want to go with. Sarah Jane Coaching, or SJC Life Coaching, sorry, Dawn, Katrina, Cynthia, you're the people that I want to work with, because your vision means something to me. Now, the great thing about a compelling vision is it will always also push people away from you. Raise your hands for me, please, if you've ever had a client who you see it on your schedule and you think, oh God, I really don't want to be working with this person. I know I've had that. And Cynthia, thank you for admitting that in the chat as well. Often it's the values. It doesn't make you a bad coach or you a bad person. It doesn't make the client a bad person or a bad client. Often the reason that we have that is that we're just not a values match for that person. But we either feel that need to help them because of the pains and the problems that have come to us, or as a business owner myself, I know this pain. Sometimes we just need to make the sale to be able to pay the bills and feed our kids. So we take clients that we may not necessarily consider our ideal client, but our values, our business mission, when we can connect to it emotionally, they'll keep away those clients that draw down our energy and may actually make us kind of low energy and maybe not quite as good, but they'll attract to us the clients that will raise our energy and allow us to be the best version of ourselves. So a little bit about me to just give you a bit of context. I am, without doubt, a very stereotypical middle child. So if you consider what the stereotype of a middle child is, that's me. I had a very attention-demanding elder sister. I had a very attention-demanding younger brother. And because I wasn't really all that much trouble, I was just sat in the middle and never got any attention for myself. That made me the kind of person that felt far more comfortable on the periphery. That's kind of where my comfort zone was. I'm not antisocial, but I've always found it very difficult to create social groups. I think it's one of the reasons that I was attracted to the Royal Air Force or the military in general as a youngster, because there's that impression that the military is your family and that close comradeship and everything like that. And in some senses that's true, but ultimately the military is just full of human beings. That are just as fallible as everybody else. So there is an element of truth to that, but it's not quite as romantic as the films and TV series might lead us to believe. I'm a very intelligent person. However, my academic achievement wasn't particularly great. A couple of reasons for that. One, low self-esteem. What's the point in trying because I'm not worth it? That was kind of part of the feeling more on the periphery, but also I'm not a particularly academic person. I do have a degree, but I hated every second of it. One of the reasons that I enjoyed becoming a coach was because it was far more practical. It was far more go out, learn something, go out and do it, rather than learn something and write a report about it. So I'm very much a doer, kind of an action taker, go out there and get stuff done. I joined the RAF when I was 19. I did 23 years. I was posted 12 times in 23 years. I was deployed 8 times, all to the east, to the places that you'll have seen on the news. And I loved it until I didn't. Up until about year 15, I loved it. But because I was a young dad, I was a dad at 23, I spent a lot of my daughter's life not with her. And by the time I'd served for 15 years, she was about to hit teenage years, and it just made me, I don't want to do this anymore, but I was in that pension trap. So I saw out the rest of my career, and I left my last working day, or my last day in uniform was the 6th of October 2022. I was promoted to my first leadership position at age 22, very egotistical because yeah, I'm good at my job. I've just been promoted after only a few years. Huge amounts of ego. And like I said, I wasn't always a great leader, unfortunately. And that is the truth. It wasn't until much, much later in my career where I learned the true psychology of leadership, the psychology of how to motivate, how to influence, and how to connect to people's emotions, that I finally actually realised the mistakes that I was making. These days, I am a massive geek. I read so much about leadership, about psychology. I'm not a psychologist. I've got no interest in going and doing a psychology degree, but I do read an awful lot. I read a lot of the books that people publish, but I also do a lot of research in scholarly articles and things like that to get some of that academic behind it. My mission is basically to make the workplace a happier and more fulfilling environment to be, because I know what it's like when we don't have that. I am also a #1 best-selling author, Leadership 101, Don't Be a Dick, which I think is quite a useful philosophy for life. It is a play on the irony that actually when you're a manager and the more effort you put into trying not to be a dick, the easier it is to become one. And that's the irony of leadership, because we end up trying to people please. And as anybody knows who's ever been a manager, you can't please everybody. So there are 3 pillars to a compelling vision. I was going to put a challenge. I forgot to put a challenge on. Spot the slide that I did myself. 3 pillars to a compelling vision. For me, that's purpose, values, and mission. If we can get all 3 of those pillars compiled in a way that has an emotional connection to us. I'm not talking about that logical, all that sounds good. I'm talking about an emotional connection that allows us to, am I actually sharing?
Yeah, Andy, I was just wanted to ask you, are we supposed to be seeing the slides? Because I can't see anything myself. Now I can't. Well, something's happening. Yes,
sorry.
now I can see them. Exactly. That's why I lifted my hand. There we are. No worries.
So, let me just get back to the screen so I can see your faces. There we go. So yeah, 3 pillars to a compelling vision. Our purpose. Our purpose has got absolutely nothing to do with what it is that we do. It's more about the why we do what we do. Our values. Now, if everybody on this, either appearing live, watching it through social media, or watching it on replay on the recording, we're all coaches. Chances are we've all been taught a process to elicit values from our clients. It's a really important part of the coaching process, isn't it? However, I put it to you that anytime you put a grid of value words in front of somebody, in front of yourself, in front of somebody, you're taking a logical approach to values, not an emotional approach. And it's the emotional connection is what we need. There is no language center within the emotional center of the brain. So articulating on an emotional level is something that human beings in general find very, very difficult to do. So our responsibility as a coach is to really connect to those core emotions of who that person is. And we can't do that through a logical process. I know when I did my coaching training, I did mine through the Coaching Academy. Now, a fantastic coaching training organisation. I don't know if anybody else did their training through the Coaching Academy. They're a fantastic training provider, and I really enjoyed the process. However, this is the one area that I disagree with, because, like I said, we put a values grid in front of ourselves. Straight away, we're going logical. So we need to find those questions that's going to connect to somebody emotionally. When I do a full compelling vision elicitation for a client, it can take anywhere between 4 and 6 hours, and I know I've got to the truth when either somebody starts laughing hysterically, crying, or gets angry. We have to have a visceral emotional reaction, because that tells us that we've got to the important part. We've got deep. Our mission is the third pillar, and this is where we start putting metrics into our business, or where we can start putting metrics into our vision, because we can have, it depends on the size of business that we've got. We can either do 12-month missions, 3-year missions, 5-year missions, or we can do a kind of holistic long-term mission. And I've got examples of different ones to show you. So please, anytime a question occurs to you, please feel free to do the reaction and raise your hands as we go. And I'd rather answer questions in the moment as opposed to go throughout. Sarah Jane, is that a finger raise? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. So just a question: how do you take your clients to the values piece then if you're not giving them a list?
So the trick that I use, or the way that I use it, is I ask some very, very emotive-based questions based on life experiences, wrote that in personal life and in the professional life. And I start to recognise what are the common words that are coming out. Mm-hmm. Rather than just put like the standard grid where you determination, humility, integrity, drive, and all those kind of words. What I tend to find is when we go through that process, people will just find words that sound good, but without any real emotional connection to them. But when we allow those words to come out naturally, then we're getting the values that are truly important to that person. But thank you, great question.
Thank you.
I've only got a small screen, by the way, so I'm not always going to see a hand raise. So if you can use the facility on Zoom, it'll be much easier for me to see if anybody has got any further questions. So I'm going to give you now some examples of purpose. So remember, this is why you do what you do. It's got absolutely nothing to do with what you do. I've got some good examples and some bad examples. So these are 3 ones that I've found out. I won't embarrass the businesses that I stole these from, but these are good. I'd love to hear your perspective on them. So purpose example number 1, to enrich the lives of those who produce and those who consume, ensuring progress for generations to come. I'd love to hear any thoughts, any opinions on that particular value. Kind of what does it mean to you? Sarah Jane, please, thank you.
I just wonder, when it says enrich, it doesn't say in which way enrich. So is that financially, or is that spiritually? I don't know. And the
Great
word
question.
consume, word consume, it jars with me but then that's just personal. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the doubt that I'm hearing in that. Dawn, please please come live as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that as I read the sentence, I had to reread it because it didn't flow. It didn't flow. That's the first and foremost impression. And then I thought, okay, what does that really mean?
Yeah. Yeah. What? How do we read? What does that actually mean? Thank you. Yeah. Could Katerina? I can't hear you, I'm afraid. Oh. No, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. If you want to bang it into the chat, and I'll try and pick it up. So the next one there: improve people's lives by merging innovation and technology with healthcare to make the lives of our guests and communities better every single day. Now, for me, they have exactly the same response as the first one did. So it doesn't really mean anything. It's like, okay, improve people's lives by merging innovation. Well, how do you merge innovation? Because innovation isn't a physical thing that you can merge. Innovation is about drawing ideas. So I really struggle with that. So Katerina, to me, it's very vague. I can't really see the meaning behind. It's difficult to grasp. Yeah, agree, 100%, Katerina. Now, these are some examples of ones that I feel are quite good. We are here to inspire people to do the things that inspire them so that together, each of us can change our world for the better. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Katerina, you have your hand raised. No, is it just a hangover from previous? Yeah. I'd love to hear any thoughts on that. Sarah Jane, please.
Yeah, so for me, the word inspire is very uplifting. To me, it makes me think of creativity and flow and the idea of community together, like, you know, just linking and how linking together can make, you know, can really give power. So to me, yeah, it feels very positive.
So because these are ones that I appreciate and I think are good, I'm actually going to name the company. So Simon Sinek is quite a famous thought leader in leadership. Many of you might have heard of him. He's got several books out. He's a massive man crush of mine. I don't know if he's particularly good looking, but he's got a blooming gorgeous brain. And I've read pretty much everything that he's released. He's been a real inspiration to my leadership development journey. And that is his company, the Optimism Company. That's his company's purpose. The next one: we make the workplace a more fulfilling and engaging place so that businesses and the people within them can thrive. And the final one: we change the way we insulate so that people can live happier and healthier lives. Now, has anyone noticed a common phraseology or a common value within all three of those purpose statements? A commonality. Has anybody noticed something?
A couple of things that spring to mind. Those three, they all start with we, so we're doing it together, and that it's putting people first.
Yes,
that's how it reads to me.
Yeah, you've got one of the two that I had, but I hadn't thought of that third. So I love that. I'm going to steal that for myself. Thank you, Dawn.
Oh, I'll charge you.
So yes, that we word, it makes it far more inclusive, doesn't it? It's about the people, it's about the community, it actually makes us part of it. And the other factor that I think is worth shown there is each of them have so that within the purpose, which is something that the previous three don't have. It's like, what is the purpose behind the purpose? What's the so what? There's an actual impact that these businesses are trying to have. I'm going to admit something. Number 5 is my business purpose. Make the workplace a more fulfilling and engaging place so that businesses and the people within them thrive. That's the purpose. They say there's nothing to do with leadership development, because that can be assigned to any career coach, any well-being coach, any company who talks about corporate communication and all those sort of things. That could apply to any of it. But that is the impact. That's what the purpose does. It's the impact of what you're trying to do, how you make the world a better place, the positivity that you offer to the world or to people or to businesses. That's what your purpose sings. That's what your purpose talks about. So for me, if there are managers within a workplace who feel as though they're burned out, they're stressed, they're overwhelmed, or they've just been promoted to manager and they have these kind of imposter syndrome type feelings, well, what do they want? They want to be able to thrive. They want to create a workplace where their team can thrive, where they can thrive. So that sings to clients. It certainly sung to me when these words came out, because I know that during times as a manager and also as a team member, there are times where I haven't thrived. And guess what? When I'm not thriving, when I'm responsible for other people, chances are the people that I'm responsible for aren't thriving either. We change the way we insulate so that people can live happier and healthier lives. That's one of my clients. Their purpose before I started working with them was to become the go-to provider for insulation. That's what their business coach had come up with. And I was honest. I just said to him, "You bored me. I was asleep by the time you finished saying the sentence." It didn't really sing to me, but now there's impact there. People can live happier and healthier lives. So values. I did a bit on values earlier. Can anybody explain to me what a value is? How would you define a value, whether it be a business value or a personal value? What definition would you apply to it? Sarah Jane, please.
I'd say it's like a compass that directs your choices.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, like a moral compass.
Moral compass. Yeah. Sorry, I've got the word moral. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, because our values are the way that we wish we could live our lives. When we're at our best self, it's our values that come out. So I've got examples up on the screen there. I'd like you to have a look at the words in gold. I should have hidden the explanation of them. That's a feedback point for myself. But those words, take away the definition that I put onto you, but what do those words mean to you? You just pick one of them out rather than six. Does any of those words stand out to you?
You're asking us to choose which one we like the most, or what it means to us, or all of them?
Whether it be positive or negative, it doesn't matter.
Well, I like the hospitality side, though it's nothing to do with my values, but that very welcoming, warm, you turn up, you feel special, you feel you're part of something. I like the warmth in the word hospitality.
Right, thank you. Does anybody else have a word that kind of stands out to them? Call up the chat there.
Katerina also says hospitality and integrity.
Now, integrity is one of the most common value words you'll ever find. Pretty much every company has integrity in there at some point. Who could define integrity for me?
Being very transparent. It's really being who you are, not pretending to be something else.
Great, thank you. The irony there is transparency is usually a word that appears on one of those values grids. So they'll have transparency and they'll have integrity. So I hear all sorts of different definitions of integrity. I'm just going to call up the chat. Living what I say. Thank you, Katerina. Other people have it's about honesty and things like that. Here's the problem with single word values. Single word values mean something different to everybody. So now the big issue that I've got with this set of value words is if you take the beginning letter of each value word, what does it spell?
Hilton.
It spells Hilton. So guess whose values these are?
Right.
Are these proper values, or are they a PR stunt?
I'd never heard of hospitality as a value before, which is, I think, why it stuck out to me.
Yeah. So obviously Hilton are a huge global corporation. They're in pretty much every city in every country all over the world, aren't they? When you're a company that big, a corporate set of values is going to be really, really difficult to kind of filter down to every level throughout every employee. However, the issue that I have in there is that there's been a lot of work done in order to find the right word in the right order to spell out the Hilton, which is the company name. So I suspect, Dawn, thank you for coming. Hopefully it'll be available for you on replay to catch the rest.
Thank you.
And the word now, what does it doesn't mean anything. It's really difficult for the managers within Hilton to actually hold people accountable to those behavioural standards, because that in a business setting, that's what your values are. That's how you expect your team members, your staff, your employees to behave. However, if everybody's got a different interpretation of that word, how do we know that people are applying that? I've got another one. Core values of the Royal Air Force, my background: respect, integrity, service, and excellence. Does anybody remember watching the recruitment adverts for the RAF? Those of you that aren't based in the UK, you may not have seen it, so I'll go through it. There's all sorts of different kind of very emotive, very motivating scenes and things like that, and then there's usually a slogan at the end. RAF, rise above the rest. So again, is this a set of corporate values, or is it a PR stunt to support advertising? Now, our values are something that's hugely personal. Large organizations are always going to find it hard to recruit perfectly to the values. However, when we just have those single words, integrity, C.S. Lewis defined integrity as doing what's right even when nobody else is looking. And I hear all sorts of different words. But who gets to decide if we've got integrity? Do we get to decide, or do other people get to decide? So actually, is integrity something that we can hold people to account for? Because one, if we've got a different interpretation of the meaning of it, and two, every single one of us has got our own individual moral compass. So if we've got a moral compass that points in that direction, somebody else's points in that direction, well, they're going to be operating over here, assuming that they're operating with integrity. But from our opinion, where our moral compass is up here, we're going to look at them as somebody who doesn't have integrity. So we've got to make it clear to people that how we expect them to behave and what people can expect of us. So if we're a solo entrepreneur, which most coaches are, vast majority of coaches just they're their own person. They might have a few associates or virtual assistants, people that help them out with various things, but most of us are on our own. So we need a set of values that tells people exactly what they can expect of us. So this is a client of mine. We get things done. We do great things together. We are always improving. We find a better way. We value everybody. Now, there were certain value words like teamwork and determination and drive and words like that. That again, when I first started working with this company, they had quite a high churn rate. Morale wasn't particularly high. They were kind of stuck at a certain level. And some little tweaks. It's one of the reasons why I called my company 1 Degree, because I'm not here to make revolutionary changes. I'm here to kind of make sustainable 1 degree changes that have a compound effect, that are sustainable, that make a great difference. So that word "we" again makes it inclusive. But it's a statement as opposed to a singular word. that makes it far harder for people to misinterpret. And these are my business values. So learning needs to be enjoyed to be effective. We do what's right, not what's easy. Everybody knows something we don't. Our one-size-fits-all approach doesn't exist. So the words that they came from was fun. That's learning needs to be enjoyed to be effective. Integrity, humility, and flexibility. So when I went through my values elicitation process with myself, and then I paid somebody to kind of do what I do, but for me, these were the words that came out: fun, integrity, flexibility, and humility. And so what I did is like, right, what do those words mean to me? By the way, this part is so easy if there's only one person in the business. It becomes much harder if there's lots of people, because everybody's got their own values. So it's important, if you've got more than you in your business, it's important to get everybody involved to go through these and then find what are the common values that are shared between everybody. The final pillar was mission. So your mission. So I've got some examples here. Be the best in the eyes of our customers, employees, and shareholders. Undisputed marketplace leadership. To be the most successful computer company in the world. Please let me know, either in the chat or come live. What do they mean to you? What response? What does that create within you? Please, Julie, I said you've gone off mic. You've gone off.
Yeah, I was just checking to see if anybody else wanted to respond first or not. I mean, I don't know, somehow the first one makes me feel a bit of arrogance. The second one, in a way, as well, and it almost feels wrong. I mean, it's good to be disputed. It's good to have actually other people which will continue to make us feel better. But yeah, ambition is also good, right? You know, we want to be, for example, the last one, the most successful company. That it's good to have that as a mission, as long as it means you're doing good and you're open to changing, to learning, to adapting, to. That's what I would say.
So I love the word arrogance there. My word wasn't arrogance, but it's a synonym really for arrogance. And the word that came up for me was egotistical.
Right.
Being the best, being number one, the most successful, or there's other ones that to generate £100 million in revenue in the next 12 months. Sarah, please.
Yeah, I'd just say to me, it smacks of corporate jargon and, you know, just empty, really.
Yeah. So if you're
from a heart point of view, I mean, empty from a heart
absolutely.
point of view. Not from a balance sheet point of view, obviously, because that's not what they're aiming for, but yeah.
Yeah. So consider 2 points that I'm going to make. Firstly, if you're going through a bad period in your business and you're looking at your cash flow forecast and you're thinking, Jesus, I've got 2 months left. If I don't make a sale, I'm going to have to get a job in the next couple of months. Let's face it, most entrepreneurs started up their own business because they were sick and tired of the corporate rat race. So that idea of having to go back to that is demotivating, to undersell it, I suppose, isn't it? But if you're struggling in your business, if you're thinking, Jesus, I've got maybe 2 months of cash flow left, and if I don't make another sale, then the business is going to collapse. As a mission, is that really going to give you the energy to get up and find a way to make it work? I have huge doubts about that. And the second point I'd like you to consider is let's imagine you're a larger business, you've been successful, you've grown, you've scaled, and now you're bringing employees into your business, whether that's part-time or full-time. How much do you think they care as to whether or not you're the most successful computer company in the world? Well, all they care about is, are they going to get paid at the end of the month? So it's not really going to drive motivation for them to perform to their best, for them to be innovative and creative and come up with new and better ways of working, because it doesn't connect to them. It might connect to the person at the top. Yeah, egotistical, we're the most successful computer company in the world, but it doesn't drive other people, doesn't connect emotionally. Well, let me know what you think of these ones. To inspire and nurture the human spirit, one cut and one neighbourhood at a time. Our mission is to accelerate the world's transition to renewable energy, to improve the workplace experience for up to 600 people by the 31st of December 2024. Please let me know what you think of those ones.
Anyone? No, anyone going? I mean, to me, they are very inspiring. It feels like this is a good company, and they have big visions. They really want to help other people, but at the same time, it's local as well. The one cup, one neighborhood. You know,
Yeah.
it's to make a big change, but one person at a time, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, to accelerate the world's transition. So it's we all know we need to translate to transit to renewable energy. So we, to help us do that. And I like the last one for how specific it is, that they've really decided, at least 600 people by the 31st of December. This is what we want to do, one person at a time. So again, it's the big vision, but something that we as a one person can relate to.
Thank you, Julie. Sarah, please.
Yeah, I was just going to say what Julie said on the last one. I mean, I like all of them, but I really like the last one because it's so clear, and you know whether you've got it or not, don't you? You know whether it's such a defined target. You know, as you're going through the year, whether you're going to, whether you're reaching, whether you need to change something to make sure that you reach it. So yeah, I like its definition.
I'm grateful because guess what? That's my one.
That's yours, yeah.
So the first two are big, huge corporations. Lynn, was that a hand up or was that just a finger slip on the mouse? Because it went off very quickly as well.
Hi, it was supposed to be a hand clap and then I raised it by mistake.
I see.
I love the last one too.
Thank you. Katerina, to me, the last three are deeply connected with humans. They are profound, while those first three are pretty egotistical. Yes, thank you, Katrina. And certainly that's what I've tried to create within my business one. So Starbucks is number 4. To inspire and nurture the human spirit, one cup, one neighborhood at a time. Tesla is the second one. So obviously, for companies that size, putting measurable metrics within there is going to be much harder, because a company that size, our mission is to sell 10,000 cars, or probably significantly more than that, isn't it? But it's hard not to be egotistical with that. So that kind of size company, they're looking long-term mission. So what it is that they're trying to achieve. Now, moral compass and things like that, business practices, both Starbucks and Tesla have had both good press and negative press. I think when you get to that size of company, I think that's generally to be expected, isn't it? You're going to have both good press and bad press. The number 6 is mine. And I've done that very, very deliberately because I'm the only person in my business. I need to look at what's possible for me. So this was my 12-month vision that I did December last year. By the way, I'm failing miserably. 2024, I know those independent coaches of you, I don't know if you've experienced the same thing. 2024 has been hard. Let's face it, if you excuse my language, it's been a bit of a shit year. And that is quite common across every different type of coach, 100%, Lynn, thank you for being honest. That's quite common. Virtually most solo entrepreneurs that I know, and small businesses as well, are experiencing the same thing. There's a lot of reasons for that I won't go into in here. But what I've done there is I've looked at what I would like to achieve and what my capacity is. So 600 people, I can't support 600 one-to-one clients. However, if I take a senior manager who has 5 managers working for them, who each one of those 5 has 5 supervisors, who each of those supervisors has 5 people working for them. The maths works out that that's 600 people that so 20 directly, 580 indirectly. By improving the management and the leadership skills at the top level, that filters down and improves everybody's workplace experience. So yeah, I'm failing miserably, but remember, it's a mission, it's not a goal. This is what I want to achieve. And so when I put my vision statement together, we are here to make the workplace a more fulfilling and engaging place so that businesses and the people within them can thrive. Learning needs to be enjoyed to be effective. Everybody knows somebody I don't. I do what's right, not what's easy. And forgive me, my mind's gone blank for the 4th one. And then my mission to improve the workplace experience for 600 people by the 31st of December 2024, knowing that I'm failing that mission and understanding what my purpose is. Every time that temptation to go on LinkedIn Jobs or Indeed or look for places to put my CV, straight away I'm thinking, no, right, let's get back on the computer, let's get back on my CRM. Who haven't I phoned in a while? Who do I know that might know somebody who needs what I do? Who am I providing world-class service to that might want to add another manager to my program? How else can I help? Because there's a reason that I started my business rather than getting employed by one of these corporate leadership training providers, because I want to produce quality leaders, not people who have got a job title and a certificate. And that's what general leadership training gives you, is somebody with a job title and a certificate, not somebody that actually necessarily knows how to lead effectively. So I've got a mission, I've got a purpose. So anytime I'm struggling, I just look at that, my heart is connected to it, I get goose flesh, I have an emotional reaction, and I'm back at it. And like I said, last time that happened was May. 2 months later, I've had a 5-figure month. What questions does anybody have?
Feel free. I mean, what I've liked so much about what you've shared, Andy, is how very honest and how easy it is for us to relate to you. As in, you have this very transparent way, and these questions have been quite provocative, I found, in a way. You're asking us to not just go, oh yes, what beautiful values, but how does this actually make us feel? And what you've just shared, and I really thank you for that on a personal level as well, regarding how 2024 has been for you. You've made it really real to me, and you've also reminded me to go back to that mission. I've had a year like that as well, where I've actually branched out into other things. I've sort of chickened out a little bit from what it was supposed to be. And I thank you for that, for having shown, to go back to the roots, to go back, and not these fancy slogans that we think sounds good, but to what are we really about, and let that be the fire to move us forward. So come on, questions, please. Let's use having Andy here to actually be able to ask these questions to. Who has a question regarding what we've been talking about and the challenges, or of connecting our business with our heart and really letting that fuel and drive us forward? Sarah Jane, I see you've unmuted.
Yes, I was unmuted and I was unmuting and thinking. So in terms of making sure that I understand what you're saying, Andy, your arena is the corporate arena.
Yeah, I don't like the corporate. I'm not. I prefer working with more medium-sized businesses.
Okay. So medium-sized businesses,
yeah.
And therefore, I like the word that you use, Julie, of fire. And therefore, what you're saying is that when you connect your heart to, or when you assist a client, medium-sized business, in connecting their heart to their business, then it adds fire, because they've got that emotional that emotional energy?
Yeah, so when I'm working with, I don't take a lot of C-suite clients. I prefer to work with one level down from the C-suite or the directors, because the C-suite, the directors, I want their mind to be 6, 12, 18 months in the future. They have managers there that kind of run the day-to-day, that are responsible for people who get the work done. So I want to work at that level. My superpower is how to motivate people to want to perform. But when I do work at the C-suite and we look at the business vision, it's like, right, how can we express why that company exists in a way that when they've got staff who are going, because as human beings, we all go through stuff. But when they've got staff who are going through stuff, naturally, no matter what the skill of the manager or the leadership is, their energy is going to be lower, their performance is going to be lower through no fault of their own, just because of what's going on in their world. So how can we create a vision for the business that shows the impact that we want to have? And therefore, when we recruit people based on a shared set of values, no matter how hard people's lives are, they want to ensure that that vision becomes a reality. So it naturally raises performance. And we can do that for ourselves. So whether it be a corporate organization, a small, medium-sized enterprise, a micro business, a solo entrepreneur, it doesn't really matter, because when we connect ourselves or our staff to the purpose, the vision, the mission, what the impacts that we want to have, then when we're going through those tough times, all we need to do is remind ourselves of what our vision is, and straight away that motivation increases.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's exactly what I've taken from it on an individual solopreneur level. And it's the fact of the worthiness of, first of all, revisiting, I mean, I've been in business for a while, when did I last really look at my values? Okay, we don't change as a person, but how we express that. And what I particularly liked about what you said was that, you basically said our set of values need to tell people exactly what they can expect from us.
Yes.
And I think we sometimes get a little bit too lost in fancy words, or, making it rhyme, or I mean, I don't know, that sort of stuff. But to really cut the crap and get back to, okay, what am I about? Why did I start this? Why was I ready to maybe struggle more than in a corporate job? What is it that I believe in that I haven't found in another, system, and that I want to give other people, my service, my impact, but to really, from the heart, then, not fancy words.
Exactly, and that's it. It's not the marketability of the words themselves, it's the emotional connection that people have. So I hope that every single person, both live, watching on social media, or watching the replay later on, I hope that every single one of you has a successful business where you're able to recruit staff. Now, when you recruit staff based on a shared set of values, there is one sentence that, in my experience, or one question in my experience, that solves 90% of your, certainly your low to medium size people challenges. Is, how was your behavior in alignment with our values? When you hire people based on on a shared set of values, that's going to bother them. The fact that they're not living up to a set of values that are important to them. So all these accountability measures, performance improvement plans, things like that, actually, certainly for the lower end, if we do it early enough, we don't need to worry about that, because when people are bought into those values, and those values are important to them, how are you out of alignment with our values? That's going to bother them. Right. Sarah, you have a question?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say a word that springs to mind is authenticity.
It allows people to realise, to know who they are. All of us that work in the personal development arena, we know that 99.9% of the population don't have that much self-awareness. And we also know that we include ourselves within that as well, because a journey of self-awareness takes a really long time. So if we can raise people's awareness of what their values are, and how, kind of, not from a logical perspective, but from an emotional perspective, and get people bought into that, yeah, people start realizing what's important to them. I think there was a chat pop up. So
yes, Katerina.
My coaching business is actually at the beginning. I focus on life coaching, so my clients are individuals, not both businesses. So I'd like to ask whether you have any advice for me in terms of setting up and communication of my purpose, values, and mission. Great question, Katerina. Yeah, and these values, this vision applies irrespective of the size of your business, from just one person in the business to multiple thousands of people in the business. It applies in exactly the same way. You don't need to have a website in order to have a business. It helps if you've got a social media page. But just when you're talking about your services and what you do, just having those kind of being aware of those and having those built into, let's say you provide a written proposal for your services. Let's say this is what you can expect of me, and if you've got maybe a PDF that explains what your coaching services are and what they can expect from their coaching journey, like sharing it within there. When you're talking to people, having those, whether it be over the phone or face-to-face conversations, and they're asking what makes Katerina stand out from Sarah Jane, these are my values. This is what's important to me, and these are personal to me, not just some jargon that sounds good. Thank you. So I do have an offer that I'd like to make as a thank you for spending time with me this afternoon. I would like to offer you all a complimentary. Sorry, before I carry on, Lynn, you've got a question?
Yeah, I put it. Yeah, I put it on the chat, and I didn't want you to miss it. So basically, I may have missed it as you spoke during this webinar. But how would you recommend we draw up these pillars for our business? What tools or just in what ways would you recommend someone can begin to draw these up? And I'm assuming there'll be like 2 or 3 drafts, before you really settle into the one you feel connected to. But yeah, I would love to know your thoughts.
Yeah, great question, Lynn. The business-centered answer to that would be employ someone like me to assist you. However, I also know that when I was at the beginning of my business, I didn't have the kind of money that required to make that investment. Simon Sinek's Start With Why is a fantastic book to read, to listen to, and the kind of guidance that he offers within there is a really, really good starting point to kind of invest at a low level if you don't have the kind of money to invest in someone to elicit those out of you. I do have a standard set of questions that when I was delivering this particular workshop, I used to offer that. But what I found is that actually when I do it in person, those surface level questions require me to go off and as coaches, you know that you have your standard set of questions, but they're to set the scene, and then it's the sub questions after that allows you to really explore what that really means and the why that's important and etc. So actually by sharing those standard set of questions, I'll deliver a very bland workshop and just give you a false sense of what you can achieve just with those questions. But reading Simon Sinek's Start With Why is a great place to start. I've seen the chat pop up a couple of times, so let me have a look.
So we're just answering the name of the book. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Now, within the complimentary offer, what I would love to do is I would love to spend 30 minutes with you, having a look at what your purpose, your values, your mission is, and within that, I can give you the standard set of questions. In fact, what I'd do is I'd give them to you before so that you can start working through them and then come up with something, and then I can make some recommendations based on the answers that you give. So that's as a thank you for turning up, and that applies to anybody watching on social media or watching the replay as well. There's a QR code to get it booked in. I'd love to have the opportunity to serve you.
Thank you. I've just booked myself in.
Excellent, great to hear.
Thank you very much. And I think this is a perfect time for this, because hopefully for most of you it is a bit quieter. It's summer, it's holidays for some people, or even if it's not completely holidays. And I think this is the perfect time for us to revisit that, right? The purpose, the values, the mission. And that is the fuel. That is what will make us motivated. That is what will attract the clients to us. Is what will attract like-minded employees to us. It does all start with that. So thank you, Andy. And thank you also about the title of your book as well, which I've also written down. Well done. I wish you a lovely summer. I wish you good luck. You know, you said 2024, you've got an amazing goal for yourself. We're only halfway through the year. So look what you can achieve in the rest. Yeah. Thank you to the rest of you for having joined us here today, for having made time in your busy schedules or your summer schedules to learn and grow. Please write in your CPD before you forget, you know, your learning points. Put it into practice. And also, don't forget, we also have our book club and our podcast, Two Sides of the Coin, which are also great resources if you're looking to expand. But for now, it's mostly thank you to you, Andy. All the very best. And yes, thank you for all of this.
Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.